Welcome to episode 26, I think, with
Wow, 26.
and today our guest is Jeff Lewis. How are you doing, man?
Doing fine, thank you, Skunk. Great to see you again.
To you, man.
All right.
Glad you're doing well.
Hanging in there.
Keeping a low profile.
Yeah. Although I actually have my first gig on Sunday for the first. It's the first gig with Tierra since March 31st.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we've done some video link, some live video things, but this is actually a gig in front of an audience at Paula Casino. But I guess you're going to have all the chairs all spread out. Two chairs here, four chairs there. So they're going to try to do it that way. So,
man. So I would say Tierra as a white guy, but
Tierra. Yeah. But
you're playing with Tierra.
Yeah. I've been taught that with a double R you're supposed to roll it.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Tierra. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Tierra. Yeah.
Now Tierra been around for years, right? Some different rosters around since the '70s. But you guys play some big shows, man.
We do. They had their big hit in 1981. Although I was playing in bands in East LA starting in 1973, and Tierra was just another band, that was doing gigs and dances and stuff. But they actually recorded an album and did a version of the Intruders song together. Which is written by the famous songwriting team Gamble and Huff, and Tierra's version. I mean, they were playing live at a nightclub here in town called the Pasta House back in like 1980 or something like that. They had a big following there. They were playing every week there, and they would do this song together, and then they did their own twist at the end and turned it into their own rendition. And then they went in the studio and recorded it and put it on their album. And then they had all of their fans at the Pasta House call all the radio stations and actually got it on the air independently. They didn't, it was their own label. And that got them going. Yeah.
Have you guys tour, or is it mainly West Coast LA area?
We at this point we are kind of weekend warriors in normal times.
Right.
We do kind of Southwest. We do get to Texas. El Paso and Houston sometimes. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Denver, Colorado. We also hit Chicago once in a while, and sometimes but that's about as far east as I've traveled with them. Mainly Southwest cities in the Southwest, and we're doing concerts, not necessarily clubs. We do concerts. Sometimes we play clubs as a concert set. But.
With that group, it's usually a larger venue. It's a big. How many people are in the band? It's a big band.
Well, keyboards, bass, drums, guitar, lead singer, percussionist for the Latin flavor, and I play trumpet. And we have alto sax and tenor sax. So that's 10. Nine members.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty big band. Yeah.
Are you usually doing shows? Is it just that band doing a longer set, or they're using a kind of opening act?
It depends. Like Apollo Casino this weekend will probably be just us. But for instance, the last gig that we did, that was at Buffalo Bills at State Line in Nevada. As you're traveling to Las Vegas from LA, you just cross over the Nevada line, and there's a couple of casinos right there to catch your money. I mean, to have shows. But Buffalo Bills Casino's got a big concert venue, and I think we were there with El Chicano and Malo and the Midnighters and us, or something like that. So a lot of times we'll be involved in shows that involved a lot of other groups, and sometimes we play on these oldies shows. I don't know. Have you heard of Art LeBeau? Maybe that's more of a Southern California. He's an old DJ, throws concerts, and he'll have a whole bunch of singing groups that are backed up by like a house band. It's just the singers to come out and sing their 3 hits and get off stage, and then after intermission, then we'll come on and with a full band and play, and there might be a couple other bands with full bands to end the concert. So, but that's a cast of thousands kind of concert, and those are generally 6,000 people, something like that. Pretty big size concerts.
That's awesome. So how long have you been playing with these guys? How'd this come about?
I joined Tierra in 1999, so I guess I've been with them for 21 years. Yeah, it's a good long time.
Have been your main gig, and I mean, do you play a lot of what kind of pickup stuff? I know you have a studio and do sessions and all that.
Yes, my day gig is Moonlight Studios here in LA, which we started 1981. We're looking at 40 years next year. Yeah.
Same location too.
Same location. Yeah. Well, my room, which is the room you and Suki recorded in last, that wasn't here when we started. It was all just in David's room. That was sort of like the band practice room, actually.
Okay.
David, I joined David's band in 1973 when his band wanted to be able to play "You're Still a Young Man" by Tower of Power. They needed a trumpet player that could hit the high notes.
Wow.
And so I was able to do that. So I joined his band in 1973, and his room was actually the practice room, the band practice room.
So you got to cover that song. You're still a young man, right?
That song has been very good to me.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was with that band, David's band, that you.
That was my audition song for David's band. That's the song that they wanted to be able to play. They had a trumpet player, but he couldn't hit the high notes.
Okay.
And it was funny. It's like I had been in another band, and that band and David's band had played the San Fernando YMCA the summer before, and that band that I was playing with, we were doing some pretty fancy songs from Chicago's first album, Approaching Storm, and some pretty active horn parts and stuff. They remembered me from that. And it turns out that the guitar player in David's band and the keyboard player in my band had been kindergarten buddies. And so they were, hey, give John Bob Wynn a call, see if he can give us the number of that trumpet player that was with him. So anyway, I came to rehearsal in 1973, and David's horn players, they couldn't read notes, so they were telling me the note names, and trying to teach me the part. And they didn't have a record player in the corner, so I didn't hear an example of the song at all. So they taught me the line. It's like. So I learned that, and they said, okay, yeah, that's it, but it's up. And I'm going, up? What? Another key or two? That was the wrong key? No, up. I'm going, whoa, you mean an octave up? Oh shit! So. And now these days I go just to show off a little bit at the end. But
how many busted blood vessels do you have in your head?
You know what? 3 or 4 days ago it was crazy. I had kind of like chapped lips. The inside of my lip had been split. It was my lips were dried up. I picked up my horn because I was going to do some auto tuning on a singer here. I just wanted to check the key. Pick up the horn, and it's like, oh God, there's got to be something stuck in my horn. What the hell's going on with my horn? I said, oh well, I'll deal with this later. I picked up another horn. I'm playing it, and the same thing happened. I got, oh my God, it's my chops. It had never happened to me. Well, maybe happened to me maybe once in history, where my chops were so swollen and chapped that I couldn't get a note out of the horn. It's just like,
Really, like,
oh,
like a weather thing. Like, you just,
yeah. So, and my chops were swollen because it was trying to heal or something, and it kind of came out. you know, usually I pick up the horn without practicing, and I just played that "You're Still a Young Man," right, and I haven't really played today, so I can usually do that. See.
I can attest to this, and I got to tell this story because this was so great. So, yeah, so I met you through Sagania, who's a longtime friend of mine.
Oh, yes, yeah. Did you know we're in Texas or
I
before?
Did. Yeah, I've known her since I think we met in like 1998 in a classical guitar class in San Antonio.
Wow, sweet.
Played music together when she's played the Thai restaurant. Had a gig in San Antonio, standing gig, same thing in LA for years. But I got to sit in with her and play. And then when we talked about moving out to LA and everything. So when she went out there, I came and visited and checked it out.
Yeah.
Went to MI. So I've known her for years and years. And and yeah, we kind of jokingly I think I had gone to visit in like maybe 2012 or something. We're like, yeah, we should just do a song or blah, 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 blah. I don't know when you first met her, when she first worked with you, but obviously you came up and we came and did November Rain was the first song.
Right. And I think we met her maybe the year before that or something. I had gone into the restaurant where she gigged.
Okay.
But actually she was not on the gig at that time. There was a guy named Tu and a girl named Kitty, and they were fabulous singers. And I have a major customer in Thailand, and he's right now. I used to teach a music production, a demo production class for UCLA Extension. I did that for 23 years. Every other quarter, I taught the class, 12-week class, about 46 times. One of my early students was this cat from Thailand named Boyd Kosiabong. And he recorded some songs with us after the class and went home and he got them on the radio. And then he sold his car to raise money and came here, and we recorded rhythm tracks for him. He went back to Thailand with 2-inch tape and had a bunch of great singers sing on his songs. He says, I'm not a singer. I can't, and he says, look at this face. I don't look like a singer. So he was very smart of him. He hired about 5 or 6 really good young singers in Thailand to sing his songs for him. Then he flew back here with his 2-inch tapes and had me mix the album. That album put him on the map, and he's now the probably the most successful independent producer songwriter in Thailand now.
Wow, man.
Yeah. So I would check out some of the local Thai scene, because I thought, man, it would be really great to have some local Thai singers that could sing backgrounds on his stuff while he's here, But I found Tu and Kitty singing at this restaurant KT, and I think Sakunya took Kitty's place when Kitty quit that band. I think but the guitar player from that band, Frank.
Yeah.
Frank. Okay.
Jazzy
Frank. Yeah. I think, we had befriended, we had gotten to know Jazzy Frank, and I think Jazzy Frank is the one who brought Suki in here.
Okay.
And she's the one who brought you. So it's all tied in. It's all tied in.
Yeah. Well, I remember, me coming in the first time, David was there and we were recording November Rain. And then we came in, we've been in there 4 or 5 times, whatever. Yes. One of the ones we did was what you played on is Goodbye to Romance.
Oh, that's right. I played a little horn on that. Right.
Loved it, man. And so this was so cool because Sagani and I were sitting over there kind of in the corner where we got the microphones and we're playing our, we did a few takes doing the singing and the guitar. So I think we did all that live. November Rain was a little bit more of a shit show, but the other ones, we were all like right there in your studio live.
Right. Yeah.
And I think there's, on one of the takes, it's like, cool, let's take 3. Cool, let's go get wine. And it's like, on that one, there's a really famous keyboard line toward the end of that song. And we're like, and Sagania has always got these great sort of production ideas, and she always wanted to rearrange these tunes.
Okay.
And do something unique with them, right? And so she's like, oh yeah, well, Jeff should play. And you were like, oh, what's the song? I've never heard it. Whatever. And
right.
So we're just like playing it for you. and you're sitting over there, at the desk and, recording everything. You're like, okay, let me hear it. I don't know if you did it on a trumpet or a flugelhorn. I want to know.
I think that might have been a flugelhorn.
I think it might have been.
Okay.
And so she like plays it and you're like, okay, hang on. And it was kind of like questionable. We're just like, okay.
Yeah.
One more time. Okay. And then you fucking did like one take and nailed it. And we're like, holy shit. Like, it was awesome, man. So fucking cool.
I'm glad that story has a happy ending.
No, it's just funny because, you had never heard it. And you were just like finding the key or something. And we're just like, okay. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, me. We're like, are you? And you just nailed it. Like, holy fucking shit.
Wow. Like I said, glad it has a happy ending.
Well, obviously. And then I reached out to you and you played horns on a good Rogering song, Mr. Peanut, which I'm actually
Mr. Peanut. No, is Mr. Peanut the cat?
Mr. Peanut is the famous cat. Yeah.
Okay. See, I didn't realize it until just now.
Oh yeah.
Because I looked up, Mr. Peanut on. I hit your little website and stuff, and here's this cat staring at me. I'm like, oh, that must be Mr. Peanut. That's who we're talking about. Okay.
Quick backstory on that. So my brother, who's now married and has a family, like 10 years ago ish, he started dating this girl, and he was like, man, she's got this cat. This Persian cat is just the fucking coolest cat ever, named Mr. Peanut. He's like, we should write a song about this cat, like a funk song. I just like cranked out this little funk jam, and we did it in Logic Audio. And for years, it was just like, programmed drums, just synth, or all the MIDI
synth horns. I guess. Yeah.
Compliment on the guitar because, dude, I did that in Logic. I threw up a plug, recorded it, laid down a guitar solo, and then when we went back to kind of like, we laid down real drums. We never even retracked the bass. We just reamped. And I was like, you know what, man, it's kind of lo-fi, but I like the tone and I like the solo. Fuck it, keep it. I was like, I fuck with it,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I hit you up to do horns, and so I got a sax player from here in Austin, Stephen.
Yes.
Did the sax.
He did a great job.
Thanks. Yeah, he's a fantastic player, man. And then you did the trumpet, and but you brought even more. I think you did trumpet and trombone.
I did trumpet and trombone. And right. Yes.
Killer melodies, because before it just had that but you added this. I
opened that up to take a look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I opened that. I opened up that whole song. Yeah, because it's like two counterpoint sort of things. Just
right.
I have two trumpets and two they're valve trombones. Most trombones are slide trombones.
Okay.
But I have a special valve trombone. So it turns out that whatever I play on trumpet, here. Okay, so now. Here's this bad boy. Okay, it's got valves.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever seen one of those.
Same fingers. It's just down an octave.
Wow.
See, so I can read trumpet music with this trombone. Most trombone players read bass clef concert key.
Right.
I read trumpet music in B flat and treble clef. And this just shows up an octave lower. It's a whole different. This mouthpiece looks like a swimming pool to me, compared to the trumpet. But I've been doing this double for like 30 years now, or maybe almost 40 years now. So it's just a matter of letting more of your lip flap, But it's. It sounds like a trombone, but it's valves.
I would have never known, never heard of, never even knew that existed. Man, B flat is so weird to me. The trumpet. I know a lot of great trumpet players, and to this day, I'm like, wait, is it go up or down a half step? If you're playing in B flat, your B flat is C, so you can read in C, but it's actually B flat.
No, your B flat on guitar or piano or flute or violin is my C.
Right. So it's easier for you to read, or no?
Well, I'm so used to the transposing. I mean, if I look at if I know it's concert, key, and I'm looking at a line and it's in your B flat, well, I go, okay, that's in my C. I read it up a step and I just change keys in my head. So I'm kind of used to doing that now. and they actually make C trumpets. You'll hear them in orchestras, but they're actually physically shorter.
Right.
So I could be playing a C trumpet, but it doesn't sound bold and ballsy. And that's they kind of landed on B flat trumpets in the big band era because they were kind of brassy and fatter sounding than a C trumpet.
Give us a quick rundown on what's the difference between trumpet, cornet, flugelhorn. Like, what's the difference?
Okay, I got them all here. Here's trumpet. Nice and bright. The and it has to do with the bore. The trumpet is about the same diameter most of the way through the horn. Most of these tubes are about the same diameter, and just kind of flares out at the end. I'll go get out my flugelhorn, and you'll see that it's more like a cone. It starts off small and gets bigger. It's the same length, so it hits the same notes. Let me go get it, okay?
Okay.
I don't think I've ever. I was gonna say I've never seen a trombone like that. I've seen the really fancy trombones where you have the extra key in the back, right? But you still have the trombone slide, and then you have the little, I don't know if it's an octave key or something when people are playing. So I've seen that, but not a valved one.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
The only thing I can't do on this on my valve trombone is do the slide. I can't do that, which is a drag. But
I've always had a blast watching jazz players on trombone with slide trombone because they just get down. They're amazing.
It's an art form, really. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I don't do the slide. But I'm pretty good on valve. So now this. The flugelhorn, see, it gets fatter, see, and so actually you can't hear me, but through this, but can you hear it? Okay,
no, we can hear.
Yeah, we can hear it.
A lot more mellow than if I play the same. You see. The trumpet supports the ringing of the overtones. There's an overtone series. I'm not going to change the valves at all. I'm just going to keep it with one length of pipe. You see, those are all notes that you can hit with one length of pipe. See?
Wow, is that? Do you know if that's the same as like when you hit a guitar string in the overtone series?
Yes,
it's the exact
mathematically, it's the overtone series.
Wow.
And when you think about it, your first overtone is half the length of the string. Right? And then it's 1/3 the length of the string. And then 1/4 the length of the string. Then 1/5, 1/6, 1/7, 1/8, 1/9. Same deal on trumpet. What you're hearing are the notes that and I don't know whether it's half a wavelength or a full wavelength, but if you can picture, the note where one wavelength fits into the length of the horn, and then the next note up is where two wavelengths fit into the horn. The next note up is where three wavelengths fit into the horn, but it might be half waves.
What is the harmonic series?
Yeah, it's harmonic series. It's a harmonic series. Yeah.
What's the order? Like tonic, octave, fifth?
That's a fifth. That's a fourth. That's a major third. That's a minor third. You see, so it's harmonically, and the deal is with the three valves. See, off of each valve, you have a different length of pipes, an extra length of pipe, see? And so you use the different valve combinations. You have 7 different lengths of pipe to work with. And everything else is a harmonic.
Oh, okay.
So But so you just have to memorize what fingers work to get. You have to memorize that.
Would you just do it that way and like one at a time and just blow up, changing the wavelength, or it's not the 1-3-5-1, but it's kind of like you can hear it going like da 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 da.
Yeah, you see, this is a bugle. There's no valves. It's only one length of pipe.
Is that just triadic only, or
this is the overtone series? That's all you got.
I see. So
and all the bugle huh?
So everything that they play is all with the lips, right?
Yes, well, almost everything. I mean, it's like I'm working with 7 different bugles when I'm picking up the trumpet, you see?
Yeah.
And bugle calls are all the notes that you can play without changing valves. It's all the bugle calls are built upon that group of notes that you can hit with one length of pipe. So
did that take you back, Vic?
Yeah, little reveille action there.
Yeah. That's all, one length of pipe.
Wow. So what's the overall octave? What's your range for a trumpet?
About 3 octaves if you got some chops. So it's my low G, middle G, that's high G. Wow, my chops are not in good shape right now. Well, okay, I have some work to do before Sunday, but typically I can nail that double high G.
I know you can. Don't over our account. Your account gets ruined because of this podcast.
I won't hurt myself. I promise. Yeah. But So the trumpet is bright, and the trumpet. You see, when you hear this note, you're also hearing, and just like a guitar, if you hit like an open E string, but then you tap the middle of the string, you uncover the harmonic that is also ringing. Right. And so the trumpet lets those overtones also ring louder. You see, the flugelhorn doesn't support the ringing of the overtones so much, so it sounds duller or more mellow, not so bright. You see, because it's more of a cone. And a cornet is right in between. This is actually my grandfather's cornet. When I started playing trumpet, I had no idea my grandfather played.
Wow!
But I inherited this from my uncle. This was made in 1918. It's really nice, pretty little sound. I mean, they used to play this on the bandstands, in the 1920s and 30s and 40s, so. But that's a cornet, and the bore does start out small and gets bigger. So it's more of a cone than the trumpet, but not as much of a cone as the flugelhorn. So it's the tone is sort of in between.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All approached exactly the same play-wise.
Exactly. Yeah. Just results in a different tone. Yeah.
When did you start playing? I imagine you were pretty young.
I started playing trumpet when I was 9 at the tail end of the 4th grade.
And was that first instrument? Is that your instrument, or?
I have a funny story about that. When I don't know whether I was in 3rd grade or 4th grade, but somewhere before that, they herded us all into the auditorium at the elementary school, and played us this old black and white film about the woodwinds. You know, the clarinets and flutes and oboes and bassoons. Yeah, gotcha.
I played clarinet. Horrible. I failed band.
Well, you know that's a reed instrument. The reed is vibrating, right? You blow on it, yeah. And there was and so it was all on the woodwind section, right? But there was a French horn player in this film. He says, French horn. I sit with these guys in the orchestra because originally the French horn was a double reed instrument, like an oboe or an English horn. It had a double reed, and that's what was at the start of a French horn. He says, but over time we switched to a different kind of mouthpiece. And he says, now I buzz my lips, and let me show you kids how it's done. And he pulled out a garden hose. He got like a 10-foot garden hose, and there were kids in the movie, and he had them hold the other end of it. He blew into this damn garden hose. And he got a note. And then he blew faster and he got a different note. And I'm going, wow, I don't have a French horn at home, but man, I know I have a garden hose at home. I couldn't wait to get home and blow on the garden hose. I quickly learned that you have to empty out all the water before it but it's a funny story, but I actually started blowing on the damn garden hose. And I could get harmonics like the bugle, you know. That's kind of what I could do on the garden hose.
Wow.
And so I'd come home every day and blow on the garden hose a bit, you know, and it was just fun to be able to make a noise on the thing. And I did that for, I don't know, maybe a half a year. And then the grammar school orchestra teacher came around to all the classes and said, well, next year we need flutes and clarinets and violins and trumpets. And I thought, let me, you know, it was like $5 to rent the horn over the summer or something. So Mom, Dad, please, can I have $5, you know? And so I went in on a Friday morning, got out of class. I was all excited. I didn't have to, I got to cut class legally and go to the auditorium. And she opened up this case, and it was a bright, shiny trumpet. And she says, okay, now you put the mouthpiece in it. Now what you do is you put your lips together and you try to buzz. You try to go, I go, okay, you know, and I pick it up and boom, I hit this beautiful note. And her eyes were like, oh my God, I've never heard anybody do that on their first try. And I'm going, you know, I never confessed that I blew garden hose. I didn't want to tell her. But so my first note on trumpet actually sounded pretty damn decent, I think. I mean, she shocked her.
That's awesome. If I ever have a kid and he wants to play trumpet, I'm just going to give him a garden hose. I'm going to pull that Mr. Miyagi Karate Kid.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this? like a month later, I'm going to be like, here's your trumpet. He's like, oh my God, I can magically play.
Right. And believe me, blowing a trumpet is a lot easier than a garden hose.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah. So, so within about 2 years of that, I was really, really fortunate that the father of a good friend of mine was a professional trumpet player. In fact, he had been a member of the Glenn Miller Band.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, you know, the Glenn Miller Band, In the Mood, you know?
Yeah.
He was part of that band, and then he went on to be part of the NBC staff orchestra. He was lead trumpet on the Danny Kaye show, and you know, a bunch of movies and TV shows, and so I started studying with him right away, and he didn't teach beginners, but he made an exception for me. So so I was just really, really lucky to take lessons from him for about 8 years. But so within about 2 years, you know, by the end of sixth grade, I was first trumpet in the district-wide orchestra, you know, and doing pretty good. When I joined junior high school, that was seventh, eighth, ninth grade, and by the end of seventh grade, I was first chair over the ninth graders, and you know, so I you know, it was, you know, I was blessed to have a really, really good teacher, you know, so I didn't didn't start with bad habits, you know. So,
and I mean, right out of high school and stuff, were you competing? And then right out of high school, you started playing in bands, or in high school, were you?
Well, no, okay. I was in, you know, orchestras and throughout junior high school and high school. You know, the school orchestra. And I mean, I'd take summer school classes so that I'd have an elective, so I could take orchestra. You know, during the regular year. So I did music in school, but then also one of the choir teachers at the junior high school, while I was in the junior high, he started a group with like 7 little girls singing and got some of us young guys to play in the backup band, and we rehearsed after school. He had access to the auditorium and the band room and everything, so we rehearsed right there at school. And we did gigs. We were gigging. We did little parties and community concerts and stuff. And I was with him junior high all the way through high school into my first year of college. I was still in part of that group. All the singers evolved, but we were rehearsing Saturdays and after school and stuff. And then when I was in high school, I joined the band that I was talking about earlier. I was at a party and I was talking with a guy. Hey, aren't you the trumpet player at North Hollywood High? Yeah, that's me. Oh, I got some friends at Poly High School that have got a good band and they're looking for horns. And so I went over and checked them out, and they were playing Chicago, Beginnings when it came out, and playing some Joe Cocker, and just playing some good stuff with some horns. And so I joined that band, and so I had a lot of musical groups going on. But at the same time, I was studying math and science, and I wound up going to UCLA. I was pre-med at UCLA. I have a degree in biology from UCLA. But all the way through UCLA, I was playing in the band with David first for about 3 years. That band was David's band was a really, really good band. They're the ones that wanted to play "You're Still a Young Man," right. And I got a call from. I was actually my first year at UCLA. I was lead trumpet player in their jazz band at UCLA. I was taking it as a class, but then I got a call from I think it was David or one of his buddies in the band, and they were actually working. They were playing at dances and making money. So I said, well, why should I pay money to take a class at UCLA when I could be rehearsing and making money outside of UCLA? So I dropped. I wound up, only did the jazz band for 2 quarters at UCLA and started playing with David's band. And that band was working. They worked a lot. We never made a whole lot of money, but we we worked a lot.
What was the band called?
That band was called We the People.
Okay. We
the People. I sent you a bunch of pictures. I don't know whether you had a time to look at those.
I saw the photos, and I saw some of these tunes you sent me. So The Shape of You did an Ed Sheeran cover.
I covered that. Yeah. I don't know. I thought that was a cool song, and I thought, man, I'm just gonna cover it my own way, and. So I didn't sing on the verses. I played my trumpet, but I wound up and I wound up playing trumpet on the choruses. But I thought, no, I actually broke out. I'm not a singer, but I sang it. No,
it sounds great.
You like it?
Yeah, it sounds really
good.
You
liked it? Cool. Thank you. Yeah, I kind of scared myself. I actually sang on that, but.
And yeah, I was like, I recognized the song title. I put on. I was like, wait, that sounds familiar. Holy shit, that's Ed Sheeran.
Yeah. And I, to my knowledge, not too many people have covered it. And so I started shooting a little video of it, and I might I might try to get that up on YouTube sometime this next year.
Awesome, man.
Yes, I thought, well, that's a pretty famous song, and YouTube's kind of cool. If you're checking out Ed Sheeran, they'll probably show you a cover over on the side column. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially if it hasn't been covered a lot, no telling. You know?
Yeah, and I don't think I think there's one group that did sort of an acoustic cover of it or something, but I don't think too many people have touched that song. So I thought, okay, it's cool. It's a fun song to play. So
if you don't get any traction with it, I'll give you some advice. Just get a cute Thai girl there with you next time you do a tune. Dude, there's like 40 billion covers of November Rain, and that thing's still done pretty well. But I know it's not because of my ugly mug. You know what I mean?
Yes, Acuna's not hard to look at. Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh, I love this," except for that guy. Can you get him out?
Yeah, that. Yeah.
Guitar player, more chicks singing.
Yes, we have to face the music. You know, when I got out of UCLA, I wound up playing with some pretty famous bands on tour for about 4 or 5 years, but after that, I felt I was kind of hitting a ceiling, and I wanted to stay in town, have some kids, get married, have some kids, and so I started my own top 40 band that would play weddings and parties. Right, that was called The Mix. And I booked the band. I lugged the PA. I did the contracts. I did everything. But I'd always get calls. Hey, do you still have that same great girl singer? And I'd go. I so yeah, we do. And I'm tempted to go. Yeah, we still have the great trumpet player too. But they never asked about me. I don't know.
Hi, this is Moonlight Studios. If you're looking for a singer, fuck you. If you're looking for a trumpet player, you called the right number.
Yikes.
You were saying you played with some famous guys. Did you not do something at some point with the Jackson 5?
I did. Actually, officially, it was the Jacksons. It was their first tour as the Jacksons. When they were at Motown, they were the Jackson 5. And then Michael turned 18, and Michael and Jackie, Marlon, and Tito wanted to leave Motown. Jermaine Jackson, however, was married to Hazel Gordy, the daughter of Berry Gordy, the owner of Motown. So these four are going, come on, Jermaine, we're leaving Motown. We've had enough of Motown. We're going to go to CBS Epic Records. And Jermaine's going, fellas, I'm married to the company. I'm married to Hazel Gordy. What do you want me to do? I can't go with you. And so Jermaine stayed behind, and those four went to CBS Epic Records, and they had one other brother, Randy Jackson. Not the guy from American Idol. Not the same Randy Jackson, but they had Michael's younger brother, Randy, at that time was 16, and they had him join the Jacksons. They couldn't call themselves the Jackson 5 because that's the name of a Motown product, and Motown's contracts are rather specific. So, so the four of them went to CBS Epic, let Randy join the group, and they called that the Jacksons. And so I did the tour, their first tour as the Jacksons. Yeah, I played trumpet with them. Yeah.
What year was that?
That was 1977.
So that was right before Michael really broke, right? Well, when was that first record that?
Well, his solo stuff came a couple years later. Yeah. Here, let me. I don't know. How do I flip my camera? Can you see this?
Yes, I love this photo.
Yes,
you're in the way right now.
Oh! Can you see it? Okay now?
Oh yeah.
Leave it there for a second.
Okay. Yeah, that's Michael Jackson.
Which one are you?
I know. I'm hard to pick out. I'm the one in the white pants.
Oh, okay. White pants. Gotcha.
Yeah. That's me. That's the real Michael Jackson. And that's Randy, and that's me, and Jackie, and Marlon, and Tito.
Jackie kind of looks like Michael a little bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And that's there's me and Michael.
There you go. Yeah.
That was in '78. We were on our way to Trinidad, West Indies. Yeah.
So that was a full-on world tour then, huh?
Wow. Well, no, it wasn't actually. This one was end of summer tour. It was supposed to be a summer tour, the summer of '77, but Michael had lost his voice. And he couldn't sing, and so the whole concert tour had to be postponed. And we were rehearsing every day at their house the summer of '77, in their backyard, making a whopping $10 a day to rehearse.
Wow, where was that? LA?
$10 in LA. Yeah, that was their house in Encino. They wound up calling it the Jackson Compound, but it's just a house on Havenhurst. But there's let's see, I don't know if you can see this picture. I snapped that from on stage. That's Michael out front, and Marlon, Jackie, Marlon, and Tito there. But yeah, and this is the band I was with at the end of UCLA. That band is called Ace. That's me with long blonde hair in the front.
All right, okay.
I just did a gig with them 2 weeks ago. They're still around.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, we played in the parking lot of a shopping center on social distance. Everybody was in their cars honking. Yeah. But yeah, the tour we were rehearsing the summer of '77. It was supposed to be a nationwide tour, but Michael lost his voice. And so that's when he started talking like this to try to save his voice. And nobody understands that that's why he talked that way.
That actually makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah. He talked like this, okay? And he's talking as little as possible, Hey, Michael, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Just he was saving his voice. And we never rehearsed with him. We rehearsed all summer. We never rehearsed with him. We rehearsed with Tito and his other brothers hanging out, listening to us play and everything. And I remember Tito going, "Okay, guys, at the end of this song, we're going to get to the end of the song. Then Michael's going to throw a cue, and then we're going to go right into the next song." And I'm going, "Tito, shouldn't we do this one time with Michael?" And Tito looked at me. He says, "Jeff, Mike knows the show. The cue will be there." I'm going, "Okay, let me shut up." And the first time we did the show with Michael was at Cobo Hall in Detroit in front of 18,000 people.
Wow.
And it was perfect. He spins around and throws his hand up in the air. Okay, there's the damn cue. Okay, no problem.
Michael Jackson, total fucking what's the word? Right? I mean,
that guy's one of the hardest working guys. I mean, people call people like that geniuses, and that, to me, that's almost a cop out, because it doesn't recognize. Genius has got the kind of air like, okay, well, he was born that way, or he was blessed, and somebody waved a magic wand over him, and he can do this. No.
10,000 hours. It's the
yes,
your entire
exactly. When his brothers started the band, and there's a story behind that too. When his brothers started the band, Michael was told that he was too young to sing with his brothers. And that's all he ever wanted to do, was sing with his brothers. He wanted to show them, damn it, he could sing, right? And he's growing up in this little house in Gary, Indiana, and all he wants to do is sing. So he's like glued to the radio. He's listening to every singer he can. He's learning all of that shit as best he can. And look what happened. He showed his brothers he could sing. And actually, I suspect that before Michael joined the group, I bet you Jermaine was doing all the lead singing. And when they wanted to leave Motown, I think Jermaine went, "Okay, this is my chance." And his father-in-law gave him a record deal and told Stevie Wonder to produce him. So you get Jermaine Jackson in the studio with Stevie Wonder, and Stevie Wonder writes "Let's Get Serious" for Jermaine Jackson, and sings half the song for him too. If you listen to "Let's Get Serious," Stevie's singing half of that song for Jermaine.
Yeah.
But it's still called a Jermaine Jackson song, right? And it was a Jermaine Jackson hit as ordered by father-in-law Berry Gordy, right? I mean, that's the whole machine, right? so Jermaine was happy being a lead singer once again, you see. So I just think that he was gritting his teeth all the time. Michael was getting a lot of attention.
I don't know a lot of history about that the band and the Jacksons, but I think I'm sure there was a lot of animosity and
there. You have a whole bunch of brothers, and Tito told me a story, and it was everything to do with the origin of them being a group. Their dad, who is not a nice man. I met him once, and he was just I was up in the office picking up a paycheck, and his business partner Richard Aaron said, "Hey, have you ever met the dad?" I said, "No, I'd love to meet him." And we poked his head in the office, and Joe, this is Jeff Lewis. He's the new trumpet player, and I'm going, "Hi," and Joe's just going, "That's it." It's not like, okay, well, welcome to the team. Welcome, glad you're playing with my sons. None of that shit. It was just like, maybe I was the wrong color for him. I don't know. I suspect. That's my suspicion. That's my suspicion.
Man, yeah.
Yeah, that's my suspicion. But Joe Jackson, he was a worker at one of the steel mills in Gary, Indiana. There's big steel mills in Gary, Indiana. But he was also like a guitar player in a maybe a singer too. I don't know. He was in a little combo or something, some band, and he was a guitar player. And so he had a guitar in the closet. And Tito's telling me this story, and he's saying, there was a strict rule. Dad leaves the house, nobody touch his guitar. Nobody touches guitar. Nobody touched Dad's guitar. But Tito couldn't keep his hands off of it. Dad leaves, Tito grabbed the guitar and be playing it, okay? Because he just loved it. He just loved it. And he would do that, every time his dad left the house, he'd sneak in there and he'd play the guitar, right? One day he broke a string. And oh shit, what happens when Dad comes home, right? So Dad comes home, finds there's a broken string on his guitar. Who the hell's been touching my guitar? Tito admitted it, and I guess Dad took off his belt and whipped him, silly, and he's going, but Dad, I love it. But Dad, I love the guitar. I love your guitar. So he said, wait, what? You love my guitar? What? Are you serious? Really? And yeah, Dad, I love the guitar, and so at that point, Dad starts getting ideas. He's got all these boys, really, Tito, you want to play guitar? Really? That bad that, I'm sitting here whipping you and you still want to play it, huh? Okay, well, tell you what. Okay, we're going to do this. And he took him down to the music store and got, him a guitar, and got Jermaine a bass, their cousin Johnny some cheap drums. There's a cat hanging out called Johnny Jackson. I don't know whether he was a cousin. I don't really know what the deal is with Johnny Jackson, but he was kind of wild. But he was our drummer on tour. Johnny Jackson, cousin Johnny Jackson was on tour. So cousin Johnny played guitar, Jermaine played bass, Tito played guitar, and the others sang. Marlon and Jackie did dance steps and were singing and stuff. And so Dad said, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to be serious about it. And he drilled him. He was the drill sergeant and made him practice and made him learn stuff. And like a drill sergeant, not a nice guy, but he really pushed him. I don't necessarily like Joe Jackson, but I have to give him credit that he pushed his sons to perfection, a certain level of perfection. And they were telling Michael he's too young to sing with them, right? Until Michael showed him that he really could. But that's how they got started. But you get a kid like Michael who just that's all he wants to do is sing with his brothers. He's going to spend every single minute pulling it together to do that. And so he sings hits when he's 11 years old, and ABC, I'll Be There, Stop the Love You Say May Be Your Own. I mean, wow. when we were playing, we had they called it their gold and platinum hits medley, and it ran through all of those old classic songs, you know. And you know, they had so many hits, they only did parts of them, all strung together, you know. So that was exciting. So, you know, so we practiced in the summer of '77. Never knew when we were going to go out on tour. Till all of a sudden, you know, okay, fellas, pack your bags. We're in Detroit next week. Oh, okay. You know, so we did a tour. It was actually only about a month long, but we hit a bunch of cities. And it was basically a makeup tour for the concerts that had been canceled in the summer. And then we did. Then we got together again in February '78 to play 3 nights in Trinidad, West Indies. And then the week after that, we played the Oakland Coliseum in front of a whole bunch of people. Yeah. But with the Jacksons, it's like, okay, tour's over. See you guys later. It's like, oh shit, out of work, you know. But at that time, I hooked up with Johnny Guitar Watson from Texas, right? Yeah. Are you familiar with Johnny Guitar Watson?
Yeah, I know the name.
Yeah. He's a jazz blues guy from Texas, you know, but he had some pop hits. He had a song called "It's a Real Mother for You," and another one called "Ain't That a Bitch." You know, he's kind of a cult hero. So I did a tour with him, and then so I played the Jacksons. Then I did a Johnny Guitar Watson tour. Then I went the Jacksons to Trinidad and Oakland, and then a 6-week tour with Johnny Guitar Watson.
You're a road dog in the late '70s, right? I mean,
I graduated with a degree in biology from UCLA, and a month and a half later, I got the call to practice with the Jacksons. Okay, so yeah, you know, I said, okay, you know, I haven't given my music 100% of my time ever, so let me now give music 100% of my time for 1 year. And at the end of the year, let me look back and see if it justifies another year. And so I wound up getting a full-time gig with Lenny Williams. Lenny Williams had, you familiar with the band Tower of Power?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. Lenny sang at least 3 of their biggest hits. He sang So Very Hard to Go, This Time It's Real, and What Is Hip. And he sang a bunch of other great songs with him, but he was only with them about a year or two. But he did a lot of damage while he was there. He sang some great hits for Tower of Power. And as a trumpet, Tower of Power is the people who did You're Still a Young Man originally, the one I played earlier with the high notes. So I was, you know, as a horn player, I'm hyper aware of Tower of Power. You know, that's every horn player's church. You know. And it turns out that Lenny Williams was friends with Johnny Guitar Watson. They had written "Don't Change Horses in the Middle of the Stream," which is a song that Lenny sang for Tower of Power. But they were on the same gig together in Portland and Seattle. So I was with Johnny Guitar Watson, and Lenny Williams was opening up. Turns out my local band Ace had learned Lenny's single. And so I knew the trumpet lines for Lenny Williams' single. So I'm sitting there with Johnny Guitar Watson in Portland, and I'm warming up by playing the horn line from Lenny Williams' song, right? And his band comes running up the stairs. Who the hell knows our horn parts? Well, here's my card, guys. You know, I'm Jeff Lewis, blah, blah, blah. And, I pass out my card, and they were working with a saxophone player and a trombone player, no trumpet, and they were really good. But the trombone player wound up quitting, got into an argument and quit, and so they called me. But so I joined up after the Johnny Guitar Watson tour. I joined up with Lenny Williams' band. It was about half the pay of the Jacksons gig, but it was every week of the year. Whether we were rehearsing, whether we were out on tour, it was like a steady little paycheck, you know, you can count on. And now we get extra spending cash when we're out on the road per diem to buy food when we're out there. But with Lenny Williams, we were the opening act for all the big R&B groups in 1978, 79, 80. It was us, the Emotions, and Teddy Pendergrass from city to city to city to city to city. Those 2 years, we also opened up for Natalie Cole, Ashford and Simpson, the Cameo. Some of the big R&B bands, and that was just a great experience for me. And we just traveled to talk about Road Dogg. We were out there a long time.
And so after like 3 years or whatever of that, in 1980, 81, you were just like, all right, I want to.
Well, no, not in 1980. Okay, while I was with Lenny explained this phenomenon called tour support. I said, Lenny, I keep hearing about this tour support stuff by the record company. What the hell is that about? He says, well, Jeff, it's when we're out here on the road and we don't make enough money to really be out here on the road, but the record company helps us out with tour support. I'm going, what, we're out here playing our asses off and we're not making enough money? What's up with it? Well, it turns out back in that day, records made a lot of money. And so the record company knew that they would sell more records if we were out touring. And the record company would send people, like if we were going to be in Atlanta, Georgia next week, the record company would send their people to Atlanta to make sure our records were in the stores, so that after the concert, they see us in concert. The next time they walk into the store, oh, is that Lenny? Oh, that's that Lenny Williams guy we saw. Oh, is that song on there? Oh, yeah, "'Cause I Love You." That's okay. So that we were like a sales tool for the record company. So tour support was helping Lenny pay our salaries and pay the expenses of having a bus and hotel rooms and all that stuff. But in 1980, the disco era died, and the record companies no longer felt it was fashionable to give out tour support. So Lenny had to disband the band. So the gig just ended after, got 2.5 years or something like that, which was kind of depressing because we thought it would go on forever, but it didn't. So I was out of work there, like, oh shit. But then actually the sax player from the Lenny Williams band called me up one day and said, hey, I got a gig playing with Tom Johnston from the Doobie Brothers. We have a little tour coming up, if you want the gig, come on up and audition. I said, oh, shit, yeah. So I drove up to San Francisco, San Rafael, and got the gig with Tommy Johnston. This is the guy that founded the Doobie Brothers. Long Train Running, China Grove, Listen to the Music.
Oh, yeah. That's
Tommy Johnston. He wrote those songs. He played the guitar and he sang them with that crazy, scratchy voice of his. But dang it, that's Tommy Johnston. That's the Doobie Brothers before Michael McDonald. And shit, and he loved R&B. A lot of people don't know that, but he loved R&B. Here he's a rock icon. I mean, he's the founder of the Doobie Brothers, right? But he loved R&B. He had hired the Memphis Horns as a horn section, 3 guys, to play horns with his Doobie Brothers type stuff. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Tommy OD'd on heroin. And while he was with the Doobies, he said he actually confided in me. He said, "Dude, I was dead on the operating table, and they brought me back to life. I had done too much heroin, and I was falling apart, and I had to step away from the Doobies because I was falling apart. And that's when Michael McDonald came in to take his place. But then." Tommy got his shit together, got cleaned up, and did an album called Savannah Nights. And it sounds very much like the Doobie Brothers, because he's the cat, that really the centerpiece of the Doobie Brothers sound. And so he put together a great band, had the John Hartman, the drummer from the Doobie Brothers, and plus another great drummer. He had Eddie Money's lead guitar player to play along with him. Phil Alberg on keyboards, just phenomenal players. And originally he had the Memphis Horns playing with him, but evidently they got all greedy they wanted to have separate rooms on the road. They wanted him to rent them rental cars every city they went, and they were demanding super high wages, and he got a little fed up with that. So he hired Keith to play sax, and Keith brought me in. So the two of us replaced the Memphis Horns, we had cassette tapes of the Memphis Horns playing the parts to his songs. And so I got called in a week before the tour started. And so the first 2 days I was writing down all the parts. I was listening to these cassettes. I was sitting in the hotel room writing out all the parts. But Tommy didn't want us to use written music. But I told him, look, I have to write it out to memorize it. So I wrote them all out, and then I practiced with them for 2 or 3 days with written charts, and then I started playing them by memory, and then we did our tour. We were opening act for Kenny Loggins' tour in 1980. So that was my one real rock and roll gig. So
that's a lot, man. How long of a set was that? Like to have to process all that music in a week?
We were opening act for Kenny Loggins, so I'd say it was about 45-minute set. So it was a good, 8 or 9 songs, something like that, but very exact horn parts, but man, what a gas to be playing Long Train Runner with the guy who wrote it.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah. Singing some backgrounds with him, without love,
So here you are sitting there acting like you don't sing, sending me a song with vocals, and then 5 minutes later you're telling me you're backing up the Doobie Brothers, for Christ's sake.
Simple parts. But so yeah, it's fun. As far as vocals too, like when I was with Lenny Williams' band, Lenny is a superb singer. He is one of the best R&B singers to ever walk the planet. Classic R&B singer, and he takes care of his instrument. He way back then he was taking lessons with Seth Riggs, who's like the most famous vocal teacher. Has taught every star in the world. And now he charges $500 a lesson, and half the lesson he'll be bragging about all the stars that he's taught. So but he has a solid set of exercises, which are basically warm-up exercises. And back in the 70s, Lenny took a few lessons from Seth Riggs and recorded the lessons. And they're basically warm-up lessons to start at the lower end of the range and work your way up and then work your way back down. And because it was a small band, it was just a 6-piece band. It was keyboards, bass, drums, guitar, 2 horns. That was Lenny's backup band. And so we had to sing his backup vocals. So every rehearsal started with us in a circle around Lenny's cassette boombox, listening to Seth Riggs' vocal exercises and doing vocal exercises next to Lenny Williams. So we're practicing. All of that, all of that, with Lenny Williams, So that was our gig. We had to warm up with Lenny, and to this day, I mean, I still do gigs with Lenny. I did a live video feed with him a couple weeks ago up in the Bay Area. They rented out a theater, had 4 cameras. It was cool. I still work with him a couple times a year, even now. But yeah, before the gig, you'll hear he'll lock himself in the bathroom and he's sitting there doing those same exercises. He's 75 and he's got his chops. He's,
makes a difference for sure. Like
it does. Takes it serious. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't drink. He doesn't screw up his voice. He knows what it takes. So,
wow. Man, well, let's switch to the studio for a minute. So,
sure.
In '81, you open up Moonlight Studios, or you start there and with Dave.
We actually I owned a cassette 4-track recorder, the original Tascam 144 TX Tascam Porta Studio.
Yep.
Cassette tape, 4 tracks. Runs in one direction, uses the whole tape. You flip it over, it sounds backwards. It's
right.
God bless my
3 tracks and bounce them down to 1, right? And then you can kind
of. That would be the first operating procedure, right? But we decided to actually start a business we knew that we didn't have the 2-inch tape like all the big studios, but we knew great musicians. Okay. And Dave and I were trying to write songs together at that time, and we were aware of there was a LA Songwriters Showcase that met every Wednesday night, and they'd have A&R people from record companies, and you could pitch your songs to them. It was a big meeting. There was the National Academy of Songwriters. And so we realized that songwriters had a need for demos. Okay. And so we knew we couldn't claim to be a big, state-of-the-art studio, but damn it, we had a recorder and we knew some good musicians. And so our original name was Moonlight Demos. And our sales pitch, my dad had an advertising agency, and he helped us with putting together some nice looking little print ads, and our sales pitch was, well, our musicians play with the Jacksons, Johnny Guitar Watson, Tommy Johnson, George Benson. We had the guitar player from George Benson's band, bass player from Crosby, Stills and Nash. I mean, we knew some cats that played with all, our musicians play with these top people, but they moonlight with us to play on your song.
Nice.
So we were Moonlight Demos.
That's awesome.
See, so that was our sales pitch, and songwriters would come. We'd have meetings with the songwriters. Our customers would come to us, with maybe a cassette that they recorded at home, sitting at their kitchen table playing your guitar. Sounds like John Denver, but they wanted to pitch it to Madonna, so it's got to sound like Madonna, right? Or whatever. We'd say, bring us an example of what you want it to sound like, and bring us your song. And so we'd have meetings with the songwriters. They'd drop off their song, and David would write out a simple chord chart. We had our own music stationery that I put together. Every bar's numbered for rehearsal and all that. We're pretty damn organized. And once we had about 6 or 7 songs together, we'd call a rhythm session. David would play keyboards. We'd call a bass player, a guitar player, and a drummer, and we'd get together. No songwriters present, just the cats. And I had a 12-channel bi-amp mixing board and a set of SM58 mics, from the band PA system, and my 4-track cassette. And so I'd fully mic up the drums, mic the guitars, everything. I think David was playing a Fender Rhodes piano, and I had to mic that sucker at first. It wasn't even going direct. But anyway, I had the whole band on this 12-channel mixing board. And while they're rehearsing the tracks, I'm sitting here on headphones trying to get a finished rhythm mix that I had to live with. And so I got a stereo rhythm mix in my headphones. I'd print that on the middle 2 tracks of the 4-track. Pan 1 left, pan 1 right. I got stereo band. Then I had a track open for lead vocal, a track open for harmony. Okay? And so our typical package was a band plus a lead vocal. Maybe a little extra for a harmony, then I would mix that up to a cassette, and we just mix it up to the cassette for as many copies as our typical package was. You'd get 2 cassettes, you'd get a chord chart, the Xerox copy of the chord chart, and my sister Susie, who was going to college at the time, she typed up the lyrics, that we'd show the singer, and so they get a copy of the lyrics typed up. And 2 cassettes that are master generation, after all. I mean, it's just really, truly just master generation. Then we put them on nice chrome tape, and a nice little label there with their logo and stuff. And we did that all for $100 per song.
Fucking shit. Wow.
Yeah, we'd pay the players $10 a song. We didn't make it.
Players too?
Huh?
Those super caliber players, or you're talking?
Yes, and they were my friends. They were all in their early 20s. Okay. Our first call guitar player was Mike O'Neill, who's now been with George Benson for 40 years. Our second call guitar player was Russ Freeman of the Rippingtons. Do you know Russ? Have you heard of the Rippingtons?
I've heard.
Smooth jazz? Yeah. He's got like 40 smooth. He's the guy that almost started smooth jazz before smooth jazz existed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Russ Freeman and the Rippingtons. He's got 20 albums out or something. Brandon Fields playing on it, Kenny G playing on it. I mean, so that was our second call guitar. We'd call him if Mike wasn't in town. It was, yeah. Yeah, great players. Yeah, but the deal is that these cats would come in. This is 1981 now. Okay, money was a little worth more back then.
Yeah.
Still, they'd come in and they'd play 6 or 7 songs. They'd make $60 or $70. They'd show up about 9 o'clock in the morning, and we'd be done by 2. So, how many times you've gone to a gig for 3 or 4 hours and made $70, and okay, that's cool.
I mean, you wouldn't put it that way.
Yeah, and there were no songwriters there. Nobody tripping.
Sure.
And you got you got Ambrosia's drummer with George Benson's guitar player and Hiroshima's bass player, and they all like hanging together.
Just go in there, make a few bucks.
Yeah. John Avila from Oingo Boingo playing bass before he was in Oingo Boingo. I mean, playing with Russ Freeman, who became the Rippingtons. Yeah, exactly. And these are young yo cats. And we had good coffee, we had good donuts. We had good music stands with lights on them and sharpened pencils, and so this was like recording session practice for them. The first song always took extra long while everybody's getting their shit together, and the last song always took only like 25 minutes at the most. But it was a cool hang. You see, so $30 went to guitar, bass, and drums. We'd pay $10 or $15 to the singer. So we paid my sister a little salary for typing. We didn't make much money. In fact, we worked for 9 months without taking a paycheck, actually, to get this business off the ground. But damn it, we did it. Then we started taking $25 a week. Then we started taking $50 a week. So we still don't take much more than that. Well, yeah.
Well, hey, are you in Atwater Village? Where are you
at? Atwater Village, which is a little section of Los Angeles called Atwater Village. Yeah,
I love that area, man. It's really
it is. It's the Black Eyed Peas recorded up the street. Our next door neighbor does DJ mixes and travels all around the world. The Beastie Boys had a studio like 3 blocks from here on Glendale Boulevard. There's a lot of shit happening around in this little area. It's very cool. It's very cool.
Going to the 2-inch tape, or did you kind of just go straight to the Pro Tools world?
We went from 1/4-inch 4-track to Fostex 1/4-inch. It did. No. The TX cassette 4-track to Fostex 1/4-inch 8-track. There was a company called Fostex that had an 8-track recorder.
4-track Fostex. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then MIDI was invented. Yes, we started this before MIDI was invented.
Oh,
and then we learned how to lay a sync tone on track 8 and drive a MIDI system that didn't get printed.
Oh, that was like the ADATs, right? Are you talking about the ADAT?
No, this is before ADAT.
Really?
On the reel-to-reel analog 8-track, we'd lay down a sync tone. You'd have to stripe the tape at the tempo that you're going to use, and then you drive the MIDI system, and then you record any analog like voices or acoustic guitars, or horns. You print that on tape, but all of the MIDI stuff you don't print on tape. So the 6 or 7 tracks of the tape come through your mixing board with the vocals and such. And then your MIDI system runs through the mixing board, being driven live with a sync tone. Okay, and the result of that gets mixed up to DAT tape, DAT.
Right.
The original DAT tape. You see,
well, like Sony, right? ADAT players and
yeah. They're not ADAT, they were DAT, DAT. Little teeny cartridges like this.
Yep.
But actually that was pretty damn clean because all the MIDI stuff was going straight through the mixing board and straight onto the master. So that stuff never touched tape. So the beat and all of that was pretty damn clean. And then you get your vocals recorded on analog tape and mixed, so we did that for a while, and then yes, we moved up to using the ADAT machines. I don't know whether the old ADAT machines.
I've got
which are digital 8 tracks, and if you want 16 tracks, you buy 2 machines and you link them together with a cable. You want 24 tracks, you buy a third machine, you link it with a cable. And then those 3 machines have to synchronize and run through a mixing board. And again, we wound up mixing onto 2 tracks of the ADAT, mixing back to 2 tracks on the ADAT. So that way we could punch in our mix. Like if we miss a move on the mixing, we can rewind and punch it in with a move.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, so we were doing that for a long time. And then I bought my first computer, and I was using Cubase on a PC. David never got into computers at that point. Alesis, the ADAT people, wound up making a hard drive recorder, which acted like like 3 ADATs. It's a 24 track hard drive recorder. So no moving tape and synchronizing and all that. But it still worked with the same big remote control. So David, and you'd start a song on ADAT, and the ADAT big remote control would give you the sync tone for your MIDI system, and you could print stuff on there or not, and mix up the DAT tape or 2 tracks of the ADAT. But David wound up he would sequence his MIDI using a Korg 01W keyboard, had a built-in sequencer. And he was so fast on that I never wanted to slow him down by telling him he had to work on a computer. So he actually got into computers late, okay? But I was able to, I had a special adapter. I could grab the hard drive from his Alesis hard drive, Firewire adapter, and bring those tracks straight off his hard drive into 24 tracks onto a Cubase song. Then I could keep step and I could record vocals. I could do mix downs and stuff. And I started working with Cubase early on. But I got really tired of people saying, well, don't you have Pro Tools on a Mac? And I'm going, well, it's really the same stuff. It's Cubase on a PC. They didn't want to hear that. Pro Tools, they did such a sales job on the community that everybody knew Pro Tools, whether they knew how to work it or not. Okay? So I just got sick of hearing people ask me about that. So finally I bought a big bad Macintosh, spent $4,000 of my own money on a Mac Tower, with good memory and, 4 hard drives and all that. And then Dave and I, as a studio, bought the Pro Tools controller and the Pro Tools program and some display screens. And so then I started using Pro Tools on a Mac. Still had Cubase on the Mac. And I'm working like that for a number of years, okay? And then one of David's customers finally pushed him into doing Logic on a Mac. And so all of a sudden, David's trying to do Logic on a Mac. He had been given an old Mac by our Thailand customer. But by this time, the Mac was so old it wouldn't even run Logic right. I thought, well, it's got to be, David says it won't even quantize. I said, oh, God, it's silly. It's got to be able to quantize. I tried to make it quantize. It won't even quantize. I said, oh, David, if you're going to be getting into this, we got to get you a big bad Mac, okay? And so I started looking, for a used Mac, and I wound up finding one this just as powerful as the one I spent $4,000 on. I found one for $650 loaded with music software.
Do you remember what year was this? talking probably the old G4, G5 towers, right?
No, these are it's something that looks like this.
Oh,
the Mac Pro desktop.
Oh, yeah, those Mac Pros now, but I remember those in the earlier generations in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I can't. Time goes by. Like I said, I ran mine with Pro Tools for many years, but then maybe 10 years ago, David got into Logic.
You're a Logic guy now, or no?
Yeah, I am Logic now. I still have Pro Tools on my rig. And yes, somebody came in with a Pro Tools project last week, and I was able to work it. But the thing is, David now only works in Logic, and he's sending me songs from his room in Logic. So it's like, oh fuck, I got to learn another system. Okay, so I'm supposed to be the guru anyway. So I know Cubase, I know Pro Tools, I know Logic. But right now, I'm slicker in Logic than Pro Tools because I work on it day to day now. So, but in the process, you see, I was able to find David this badass computer for $650. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the guy. Hey, why are you selling this? If I may ask, because this is fantastic. He says, well, my studio partners, some of them edit videos, and Apple's come up with a computer with a little faster memory. So we're selling all our old computers. And we're upgrading our computers to these newer computers. I said, whoa. All of your old computers, do you have that? You mean you have another one just like this one loaded with that much software for $650? He says, actually, yes. I said, I'll be back tomorrow. and I bought mine. Okay. So finally we have matching computers with matching software. We have since gone back to the guy and upgraded to his next system. But we actually haven't upgraded in about 5 years or 6 years, and we just have so much software we haven't even looked at half of it, and it really suits our needs. So
one thing nice about Logic, I don't think you get bent over every few years when they fucking. That's the thing about Pro Tools is this upgrades and that upgrades, and then your OS is no longer compatible. It's been a nightmare. I mean, I used to use Logic, but everyone has Pro Tools, and so I was like, finally got Pro Tools, and then I've got Logic. I'm not as familiar with it. I kind of use it when I do, but
we started with Logic 9. Now we have Logic X, Logic 10,
which is going for a while, right? And you don't have nothing's.
It's our system's pretty stable. Auto-Tune is kind of wiggy with it. Auto-Tune 7 crashes out Logic quite often, but I still love what I can do with Auto-Tune because I actually do the graphic tuning, tuning notes by hand.
Yeah.
No, I don't rely on the automatic robotic.
I hate that
stuff.
Shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you ever use Melodyne?
A lot of people love Melodyne. I don't feel like I've never gotten into it, and in fact, Logic 10 has got a tuning program which looks like they licensed the Melodyne technology. Right. Where he has the boxes and you drag the boxes up and down and stuff. Yeah. I don't feel like I have the same control over that as I do with.
To be able to go in there and like literally walk, do it. That's
yeah. You use Melodyne?
A little. I've gotten into it a little more recently, and I'm not super good with it. But the little that I have done with it, I'm pretty impressed. Like it doesn't sound. You can make it more human. You don't make everything perfect, but it's
right.
Not, like sometimes I've heard some. If you don't know how to use Auto-Tune, don't.
Yes. Right. You can screw it up. Right. You're right. But I've used the Auto-Tune not in the automatic mode, but the graphic mode, where you first it graphs every single wiggle with a little red line, and then the spots you need, you just touch it with a little blue line, and then it'll make up a green line compromise between the wiggle red line and what you said is the right note. And you can pull that down if you want it to be a little more soulful, or you can put it right on if you want it to sound more Karen Carpenter. You can mess with it. And I've tuned stuff that you would not even know that I tuned it.
Well, I mean, I sang in there, so you probably had to tune that.
I don't know. I don't remember.
We won't go down to that first.
I'm sworn to secrecy. As far as I remember, Skunk, you sang it perfectly the first time, right?
Yeah, totally live, perfect. You're right. Yep.
Yeah. That's what I remember. That's how I recall. Yeah.
Man, that first God damn it. That's Saganya though. Dude, I literally showed up. And it was the first time I ever met Ian. We were sitting, he comes home and we're like sitting in the apartment. We're just like trying to figure out what I learned this. Well, November Rain's like a 10-minute fucking song. I learned it on the plane, right? And I had the book though. So it was like, and I knew the chords. And I mean, so I was like, what I was like flying out there, I was like, I'll just transpose this. And I think we had a miscommunication on key. So then I get there and she's like, no, that's no good. So we were like sitting there, whatever the first, and it's just us sitting there trying. He walks in like, what the fuck? We're just like trying to find what goddamn key is right for her. So then, like, I remember being in the studio with writing fucking charts and shit for that damn thing. But you know us, man. We fly by the seat of our pants. We do a couple of takes,
and it turns out great. Those were magical recordings, man. And
I love.
And to have a video, camera rolling.
Yeah.
While you guys are performing it, I mean, that's, you don't get better video than that. That's spontaneous,
Well, my favorites were when we came back and we did Goodbye to Romance and then had you playing Flugelhorn at the end. It's so bad.
That was fun. That was fun.
It's just a fun time. We got to do that again.
Yeah, I'd love to have you guys back here and do that again. Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of fun. I have a sofa in that position now. That you guys played over there, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I have a nice sofa there. But you can sit on the sofa and really chill and play.
Yeah, man. We'll just really get
a lot of fun.
So man, so that's cool that you're playing a little bit again. Tierra when is that? You said that gig is.
Well, that's this Sunday. We're playing it as long as they don't cancel it. I'm not holding my breath. But yeah, load-ins at 11. We're playing at 6:00. We do a little sound check and chill and and then do the gig at 6:00. It's gonna be. Hopefully my chops hold up. haven't been doing hardcore sets in a long time, so
yeah,
that'll be challenging.
And online, Moonlight Studios, like where do people find you guys online?
We're you can search for us in Facebook.
Word of mouth. Right? It's all word of mouth.
Yeah. We have been, we advertised for the first 2 or 3 years. We advertised heavily, and then we built up enough clients to where word of mouth was just more preferable than having strangers come in. That we had to prove ourselves to. It was just much better. Good people saying good things about us that come in and we just roll up our sleeves and get to work. So we have actually existed on word of mouth ever since then. We don't advertise. We just knock ourselves out to do good work for people. And we shave off time and we go out of our way to do extras for people. We have nice snacks here and stuff that we don't charge for, and good coffee and and really try to put out luckily we have as many tracks as we want. I have one guy has 156 tracks on the song he's working on right now. Because he's doing a whole choir by himself, this whole African choir chant thing, and another gospel choir on another tracks, and he's doing all the
mixing that or what?
We're recording it from scratch.
Are we recording it? Okay.
Yeah. That's. Oh, I had Mr. Peanut up here. I had the session for Mr. Peanut, all my horn parts.
Oh yeah, let's have a look. Nice.
Yeah, the purple tracks are the long note things, and then the gold tracks are the extra.
Yeah, I remember when you sent me those stems, and I was like, I think you were like, here are those parts, the written stuff, and then you were like, and I added some stuff, if you like it, use it, kind of. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude, this is killer. It's awesome, man.
Thank you, yeah, son.
I'll tell you this story. Some of this might tell. You might see him out there walking around.
That was fun to do.
Awesome. I gotta hit you up again for something, man. I'd love to get some more horns and something.
Oh, it's a lot of fun, brother. So let me save that and close it. And yeah, see recent.
I was going to ask you one more thing that I feel like. Remember Cooking with Love, Suki's documentary?
Yes, yes.
Show you were at the show, the premiere, right?
I don't think I made it to the premiere.
But you did you mix that, or you recorded some of that, or
I did. I know I did. I know I did some stuff on that.
I feel like she came in and did a couple of tunes with you.
Yeah. I think she did. Yeah, I think that's how it was involved in it. I think she actually recorded a few songs that she used in it. You know, because I remember her working on it and that happening. I remember being part of her production on that. But I guess it must have been that she brought in songs that she recorded here and used for the show. I was so proud of her. That's to pull that whole thing together. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And a really cool documentary too, man. Really, really awesome. It was cool going. I went to a premiere with her in San Antonio with that.
Yeah. Just awesome project, huh? Yeah. Really cool.
And albums are one thing, and then you add movies. That's a whole other fucking level of shit, man.
No kidding.
Yeah. So what do you got there? What's the latest?
Here's this guy named Gino Henderson. He's a guitar player. He's played guitar with the Pointer Sisters.
Oh wow.
Friends of Distinction, Grazing in the Grass, going in circles, and he's also been involved in some Broadway musicals, singing soul songs on Broadway musicals and stuff. So he's a guitar player. He also plays bass on this, programmed the drums, and he's doing a bunch of vocals. It starts off like this. This is sort of a theater piece that he's done, and it's it's unreleased, so I don't know if it's cool for me to be showing it. But you're limited. You don't have millions of listeners, right?
No, just a few 100,000.
Okay. So it starts off like African sound, and then it kind of goes into like a bluegrass sort of thing where he's playing harmonicas, and then it goes into a full-on gospel choir.
It's a real journey up the mountain. Whoa, every step, my spirit starts to hear. I smile,
wild.
Yeah.
A ton of track. I love that kind of gospel vibe in there, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so
awesome.
lot of stuff for mostly just one guy. We did hire this stocky black woman's straight up gospel singer to sing with him on that. But he's doing the bass and the bass is the red up at the top. All the percussion and drums are blue. Piano and organ. That's my buddy David. Those two tracks, but then all these other tracks are vocals. The green tracks, that's my color code for guitar. But all the rest of these things are vocal tracks, a whole gospel choir section, and yeah, it's a piece for theater,
That's really, what's this guy's name?
Gino Henderson.
Oh yeah, very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, so he's probably been here up at 8 different sessions working on this one song. Yeah. But we're not using all of these tracks, but the track count's all the way up to 156 tracks. A long way from a cassette 4-track, huh? Yeah.
You I guess it's different for each project. Do you have any particular parameters you like to work out of, like 24, 88.2 or anything like that? Or
I record everything 24-bit. Every track is 24-bit. I typically record 44.1 sample rate just because that's what CD is. Mm-hmm. And so far, the world seems to be encouraging us to dumb down our sound to MP3s rather than upgrade our sound. However, on a whole different tip, I have this French sidewalk cafe band that came in. I've gigged with them before, actually. They have this. It's centered around this girl singer. She's just beautiful woman, and she sings perfectly in 5 different languages, especially French. Impeccable French. She plays this cute little accordion and sings. Her husband plays.
Oh, damn!
Huh?
Sorry, Vic. Huh? I was like, Victor's about to fall in love with this woman. Then,
I am in love with her. You can tell. And her husband plays the guitar for her, and he's such a cool guy. Yeah, and then they have a stand-up bass player and a fiddle player.
What's this band called? It sounds awesome.
Les Zazous.
Zazou. Okay.
Les Zazous. Back in the World War II, Germany was occupying France, and the French teenagers were sort of like an underground resistance kind of, and of course, wartime France, everybody was dressing really conservatively and down, keeping low key. But the kids at the time dressed up in these wild, it's almost like the Zoot suit in East LA. It was like oversized suits and plaid jackets and they dressed loud and they danced to swing music. And so. And they called the swing. It's sort of like the swing kids of the 1940s in France. They called themselves Les Zazous, and so that's what these people called themselves. This project, I recorded them all live. I had the girl singing and playing accordion in my vocal booth simultaneously. By the way,
wow.
I had the AKG 414 in the super cardioid position, like super focused, straight ahead, pointed at her mouth, and the accordion was underneath the mic and as loud as hell, and she's singing these quiet little vocal. So I had the microphone just really focused on her mouth, and I got enough, accordion to use. And originally I was thinking I'm going to be replacing the accordion. I'm going to be recording. This is just a scratch vocal, but it came out so perfect. And I'm glad I positioned the mic just right to get the right blend between this quiet vocal and this loud ass accordion. It worked. And I had her husband sitting here in the room, playing like acoustic guitar with a pickup, basically. And then in David's room, I had David take the day off. I had a stand-up bass player. And in David's vocal booth, I had a fiddle player, all tracking live. And I recorded them at 96K. So that's a super high sample rate.
I guess it's just was that at their request then, or did you?
No, well, I just figured that was because they couldn't play to a click track. There was no way they were going to work with a click track.
Gotcha.
And I just didn't see any other way than having them all play live together.
Right.
And it was kind of crazy because the week before the session, I went to the hospital for the first time in my life and had my gallbladder removed.
Oh.
I got my gallbladder removed on a Sunday, and I was in here tracking on a Thursday.
Wow.
No heavy lifting, but
no heavy lifting, no Mexican food.
Right.
Yeah. I got a buddy that's getting his taken out, and he's pissed because he can't eat Mexican food anymore.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's crazy. Okay, so this is the opening song, and this is really quiet little dainty song. Ma bicyclette means my bicycle.
Ma bicyclette est violette claire avec un panneau blanc et une petite lumière. Mon casque c'est un bel pour le coccinelle. On y va. C'est si bon l'aimer. Ma sonnelle chante. Bicyclette volante, ma bicyclette violette claire, elle tourne en rond comme je suis, comme j'adore la vitesse, let's see.
Anyways, it's that's all simultaneous live, no click track, nothing, and the accordion and the voice are being recorded by the same mic.
Wow, yeah.
With the dead side of the mic facing the accordion.
May I ask you just a couple of gear questions real quick, dude? What do you any kind of favorite? What are your monitors or any kind of favorite preamps?
I'm using the monitors that I like are the Mackie. What are they? 824s or the Mackie monitors are the ones that I like the most right now. They're powered monitors.
Okay.
The preamp, it was actually a gift from our guy from Thailand. He's made a lot of money off of the tracks that we charge very reasonable prices for, and he just blessed us with two interfaces. I use the Antelope Audio Zen Studio interface.
Okay.
It's got 4 mic inputs on the front, and another 8 microphone inputs on the back, so it can handle 12 mics at once. Plus, it has an expansion cable here, which can give you another 8 ins and outs, and I use that for my booth channel. But the Antelope Audio Zen Studio interface, the clock is so rock solid. $2,500, and our customer just gifts one to me, right?
Awesome.
Yeah. And when I unpacked it and hooked it up, I expected it to make a difference after I'd recorded something on it, that I would hear something, an improvement. as soon as I hooked it up and played back some older stuff that I didn't even record on it, it sounded better.
Wow. Okay.
Like the clock is so rock solid. You know, it's hard to say what it was, but it made playback of our old stuff sound better immediately. And from that point,
It's like from a clarity standpoint, or
from a clarity, and just all of a sudden, wow, it's just playing back what we recorded even better than we recorded it. It's like if you think of like old motion pictures when they were hand cranking the film, it'd be faster and slower depending on and if you see horses running in the old films, it'd be kind of jerky. It's like it's not smooth running, right? As soon as they can take pictures at an absolutely rock steady rate, then the horses look like they're smoothly running, right? So obviously, if you're hand cranking it as you're taking the pictures and hand cranking it as you're playing it back, there's a drift on in both both the capturing of the pictures and the playing back of the pictures, right? Mm-hmm. But if you could play back the unsteady pictures rock solid, that improves it somewhat. It's sort of the analogy I could say.
That's a good way to put it.
And furthermore, once you this sucker can record at 192K.
Yeah.
192,000 samples per second. It can gather 24 ones and zeros.
I've done one project and it blew computers up.
Yeah. I've only just test recorded at 192 one time, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
I check my voice or I check my horn, and it's just like, oh fuck, okay, that's because that's the sound I hear directly from the microphone, not being recorded.
Right.
All of a sudden, it sounds exactly the way that mic sounds. Like, oh, got it. And that's
Just need like zillions of terabytes of hard drive to actually.
And to think about recording something like Geno's with 156 tracks, forget about it. So I stretched it. See, like on Les Azous here, I did 96K. I figured so there's not going to be that many tracks,
right?
And I'm really interested in the clarity of this particular band. Let's see, here's another one of theirs. Oh, anyway, but I love the Zen Studio interface. Just the clock is. I guess they're not making that model anymore. They've upped their game and making something fancier now, and not making that one. But I love that one. But Boyd wound up buying me one, and buying David one, and buying himself one. He was so impressed with it, and I'm blessed to have it. My record chain, I with a vocal booth, I have a AKG 414. It's a special model of the 414. I don't know. Can you see it there? Yeah. This one has the gold grill on it. There we go. Yes, yeah. The gold grill. That's a giveaway that it's the TL2. Most of them have got silver grills. Okay. The story is that a friend of mine who's from Austria, and he's a very successful producer. He produced. His name is Peter Wolf. He was part of the Frank Zappa band around 1980, and he's from Austria. And he wound up producing Starship. We Built This City. He wrote Sarah for Starship. King of Wishful Thinking by Go West in the Pretty Woman soundtrack. Produced El DeBarge. Anyway, but he had a collection of C12 microphones. So the AKG used to make this old mic called the C12, and it's a tube mic. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous vocal mic. And if you can find one that works, because they stopped making them, but if you can find one that works, you're probably going to pay $8 or $9 grand for it. Or these days, the C12 AKG. But I guess when transistors came into fashion, they stopped making the tube mic and started making the 414s with transistors, right? But the C12 still lingered on, and everybody still loved the C12 as a vocal mic. And so Peter, being Austrian, being able to talk to them in their native language, said, why are you guys not still making the C12? Everybody's paying, $8 grand for your used microphones, and you're not making them, So they kind of saw the logic in that, and they rented every C12 that they could get their hands on, and they borrowed. Peter had a collection of 5 of them. They borrowed all of Peter's, and they got a bunch of producers and engineers and singers together, and they decided that one of Peter's was the best sounding C12, and they copied that one to make their C12 VR, which stands for Vintage Reissue. When they first released it, they were charging $5,000 for it. Now I think they're charging $6,000 for it, but basically it's a copy of Peter's best C12 AKG. And they copied everything about it. The capsule, the electronics inside, the tubes, the whole thing. And then after they released that microphone, about 6 or 9 months later, they were scratching their heads going, hey, look, wait a minute, we have the capsule that's a copy of Peter's best capsule that matches his best C12. Why don't we put that in a special edition of the 414? And that's what I've got right there.
Okay.
Is we have a pair of these AKG 414 TL Roman numeral 2, and that has basically a copy of Peter's best C12. It's a dual diaphragm capsule, and then it's the TL means it's transformerless. Which I guess helps the clarity somewhere. But the deal is it's a copy of Peter's best C12, diaphragm, in a more affordable package. Because
yeah.
I can't hear you too well. Are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Did I? Maybe I turned you down. Hold on.
Check.
No, I put this. Hang on. That's what I did. I turned my listening volume down. Now you're there.
All right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Better. Okay. Okay. We got to get rid of this thing there. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so I was, and Peter's saying, Jeff, man, the C12 VR is fantastic, man. You've got to get one. I can get you a great deal on it. I know the cats. I'm good. A great deal on a $5,000 mic is still going to be, a few grand. And I didn't have that in my pocketbook. And I was embarrassed to tell him I never took him up on the offer of hooking me up with some C12 VRs. But when they came up with a 414, I went down to Guitar Center, and I'm in the back room with headphones, and I've got the C12 VR in one hand. I've got this in this hand. And I'm going, check. $5 grand. 1,300, $5 grand, 1,300, and I'm going, $5 grand still sounds great. Oh shit! And the sales guy, well, wait a minute, you're comparing apples and oranges. This one has a tube in it, this one doesn't. So he says, what you ought to do is put it through a $500 tube preamp and compare. I said, okay, let's try that. So check. $5 grand, 1,700, $5 grand, 1,700. Okay, now that sounded more like the same thing. See, so I take the AKG and I put it through this TL audio tube preamp. It's like a dual channel tube preamp. That's all it is. It's just tube preamp. And I think they've stopped making that model too. But at the time it was $500, and it's just tubes that make the mic sizzle a little bit. And then I got all this junk on my desk here, but I also have a vintage Uri limiter, a vintage Uri 1176 peak limiter there.
Sure, yeah.
And that was a gift to me from a thankful customer. It didn't work when it arrived. This customer, he used to own a recording studio in San Francisco. I think Van Morrison used to sing through that limiter. But turns out the bass player of my band worked out at JBL, and they had just acquired the rights to distribute the Uri, and he took it to the shop and had him fix it for me. So
awesome, man.
So I'm blessed with a gift of a vintage Uri limiter. Those things go for $2,000 used.
Oh yeah,
the
76s are always
what
you hear all the time, right?
Yeah, exactly. And see, and I've been using that for years. And now Uri let their patent lapse. They went out of business. And while their patent was lapsed, while they were out of business, everybody made software copies of the 1176 and got away with it. And so, if I want 20 1176s on my mixes, I can do that now without spending $40,000.
Right.
Yeah. And I have to say, the emulations are pretty damn good. They work like the real thing. And I'm used to working with the real thing. So if that's my go-to limiter on any mixes is a 1176 copy, because I know how it works. I got the feel for that thing, and so I'm pretty proud of my recording chain. It's the AKG 414 through some monster cable into the tube preamp into the Uri limiter into the Antelope Audio interface. The other day I thought, well, wait a minute, how much would that be? It's about a $13,000 chain if you bought it new. I get used to seeing it, but wow, and some of it was blessed. I was blessed with it for gifts, but I'm really, really happy with that chain. It kicks ass.
Does it match up to your original Tascam? That's the question.
It's hard to tell the difference, honestly, but there's a little, yeah.
That old 192 Tascam. That was a little too rough.
144 Tascam 144, but that they were pretty damn good recordings. I have to, because we had the young Yo Cats on their good instruments, really playing well.
That's what you had, man. I mean, the first thing I ever had was a little 4-track Fostex, and it was cool. I mean,
there you go.
Start somewhere, man.
Exactly. And we just we were dumb enough to start a business with it. So hey,
I love that story. In fact, I love the story in the Moonlight demo. It's like Moonlight with Us, and you get these great players in there.
Yes, yeah,
cool story, and actually a really cool idea you guys had too, because
it was a concept, and it was true. It was all true. We had cats, that were working with major folks, but what are they doing on a Tuesday morning? When they're off tour, right? So you come in and hang with us and do that, and after a while, our customers started pressing copies of what we give them and making them into albums. So I said, wait, we can't call ourselves Moonlight Demos anymore. These aren't demos. People are actually pressing albums of our stuff recorded on 4-track. And so we wanted to call ourselves Moonlight Productions. But turns out that's an X-rated video company in Reseda. We started getting some calls. Do you do blue movies? I said, no. So we could not call ourselves Moonlight Productions. We wanted to. So by that time, we had busted the hole in the wall and built my room in here. So we actually had 2 rooms. So we thought, okay, we're going to call ourselves Moonlight Studios. Yeah. And people like the concept of paying for studio time. If we had to explain to them that we're actually producers with our own studio, and that we're charging by the hour, and we're not charging percentage rates like most producers, but we do not ask for a percentage of anything that we record here. We just expect people, if they really make a lot of money on it, to come back and buy us a donut, and cup of coffee or something.
I mean, you got a bunch of cool fucking gear, you know. I mean,
yeah. That's
man, here's a 3,000.
Boyd, I have to say, Boyd has been very nice to us. You know, he's really made a career with the music that we've helped him with. And combined with a whole lot of work on his part back in Thailand, but he's actually flown us out there. He flew me out there 4 times to see concerts and actually to be in concerts. So we actually on a couple occasions put together a band of great players here and flown to Bangkok and done these huge concerts in Bangkok. One time he did a concert featuring all of the singers that have sung on all of his albums. He called it the Boyd Alumni Concert. It was one night. He rented the university soccer stadium, put a circular stage in the middle of the field, laid down plywood over the grass, set up all these chairs. He had, I think there were 20,000 people there that one night just to hear his music that started in this little studio.
Oh, that's amazing.
On the other side of the world. We had Barry White's drummer. We had a guitar player that worked with Black Eyed Peas. We had David on keyboards, me on trumpet. We had the sax player and the trombone player from Earth, Wind and Fire playing with me on stage as the horn section.
When are you going to start playing with some credible people?
I know. I'm working on it. I'm practicing. I'm practicing my C scales as much as I can.
One day you'll get there, man. We are still probably the only guy in the country who can play a mean garden hose. Shit.
I'll tell you. It's a skill. It's a skill.
It all started from a garden hose and a dream. Like, man, I haven't written a fucking song, Garden Hose and a Dream. Can we do a video? You should do a YouTube video of you playing a garden hose, man. That's what you should do.
I'd have to tune it. Okay. I have to cut it until it's like to an A440 or something.
No. The funny thing about that is you would do that video and there would be some asshole troll who'd be like, that garden hose is out of tune. It sucks.
Woo. Crazy.
Better than that guy. That's fascinating, Jeff. Man, really fascinating story. And we've hung out before, and I've been in your studio, but to sit here and talk with you for a couple of hours, and
it's fun to get.
Fascinating backstory of your origins, all these different people you've played with over the years, your studio, your success, and I really appreciate you taking the time to.
Oh, it's fun sharing. It's fun sharing, and it was fun playing on your song, and it's always been fun, recording you and Suki, and. I was back at UCLA. I was pre-med. I took biology and all that. And, the plan A was to become a doctor. And I'd probably be financially better off if I had chosen that route. But at the same time, I've had such an amazing life. I've
how many doctors can be like I played with,
Yeah,
like you basically named like every band ever in the course of this podcast. So.
Yeah, and it's fun. I did a lot of work with this band called the Brother John Band. We were the unofficial Dick Clark old time rock and roll band, and when Dick Clark did corporate events, like Dick Clark would get hired by 7-Up to bring a show to their last night of their worldwide convention on Maui, and we backed up the Shirelles. Freddie Boom Boom Cannon and Little Anthony and the Imperials, and Dick Clark emceed, and we play, the Shirelles, the Coasters, the Drifters, and Frankie Avalon, we backed up all of these cats over the years, and we also played the after party for the American Music Awards year after year after year.
Wow.
And one time Stevie Wonder jumped up on stage with us, and he's trying to, Stevie's all, trying to get the crowd to sing the harmonies, and they're not getting it. So I'm singing the harmonies, and so Stevie's happy because he hears the harmonies. And
here we are again. You going, oh, I don't know, and then you're singing backup for Stevie Wonder.
Well, spontaneously, because he jumped up on stage. It's like, wow, so like pinch myself, like, wow, okay, yeah.
Hey, Skunk, how does Jeff's studio compare to your first studio experience?
Oh man. Yeah. Well, it sounds like it was actually real similar to Jeff's original studio. It was a 4-track. Well, so my buddy, I think maybe I mentioned him earlier. So guy that long time friend of mine, when we first started playing the music together, like our freshman year of high school, right? I had gotten a guitar and a little PV amp, a little old primer gray guitar, and was just hooked. And he didn't even have drums yet, but he knew we wanted to play drums. He set up we went in his garage. He set up cardboard boxes and a little boom. It was his hi-hat. And we just fucking jammed and shit. Well, anyway, fast forward a year later, whatever, he had a drum set. I'd been playing guitar for a little bit. And he's like, hey, I know a guy is like, he was in Waco for the summers with his dad. And he was like, I know a guy that has a studio. Some guy his stepmom worked with or some shit. And he's like, and he'll do like a demo for like $40. And we're like, sweet. And so I go down there and it was horrible. But it was we go in, this guy had like a 4-track recorder. It was in his garage, right? And his dad his head out being like, hey, grabbing a beer out of the refrigerator. And we went into this whole story on we had him on an early podcast, and it was really, really funny and really terrible. But yeah, you got to start somewhere, man. Right. But yeah, to answer Vic's question though, that studio is by far superior to who needs EKGs and Logic. I mean, when you've got a buzzing refriderator. Of course, it's the ambiance that you can't replace. You can't remove it either.
the bedroom vocal booth too, right?
Vocal booth.
I had Tone Loc in here one time, and he said that
he told us about that.
His big hits, Funky Cold Medino and this Do the Wild Thing. He said he was standing in a walk-in closet. That's where he did those vocals. On a 16-track recorder or something like that. It's. And I've done a lot of. I mean, that's the thing too. It's like I've done vocals in closets, bathrooms. Yes. Dude, I did some of the death metal vocals in my shower. I was thinking about hanging a mic in the shower. Or I love using the bathroom for that shit. Doing this one thing in the studio too, we put there was kind of a bathroom behind one of the live rooms. Where the drums usually are, and putting 2 fucking microphones in this tile bathroom, and you just get all that roomy. It's awesome. Yeah, so that's what they used to do. Yeah, a big part of it too is just being creative. Trying things out. Yeah. I think that's the fun thing about recording and making work what you have, whether it's a 4-track tape recorder or some big elaborate studio setup. Because really, you work with what you have. Yeah. I think I heard Spike Lee talking about it. If you want to make movies with whatever camera you got. Make it. Don't wait till somebody buys you a fancy camera. Make movies. And I think I saw something on PBS last night from oh God, what's the guy? Rodriguez. Your brother was in one of his movies, Vic. What's
Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Wasn't Frank and Machete
the second one? Yeah. He played one of the henchmen, the henchman guys. Yeah. Danny
Trejo's a friend of Tierra. We did a live video. No, it wasn't live video. Well, yeah, we played live and it was videotaped, and we used Danny Trejo. He introduced us. Yeah, it's fun. Machete. Yeah, dude. But I think he was actually saying he got inspiration because he I don't know what it was. He had seen someone, but anyway, same idea, right? He just used what he had and he made it work. And someone was like, right. Oh, this is really impressive. And it's just the desire to kind of. Yeah, sometimes just using equipment you have, and like I've shot some videos for customers here where I just did it with my cell phone, my Samsung Note 4. It has a removable memory card, so I shoot it and store it on the memory card. Then I shut down the phone and pull out the memory card and extract the movie file and synchronize it to the actual tracks. And I've had they're kind of raw, but it's the singer really singing, and it's not a lip sync, and it's there's a reality to it. No, there's not a bunch of costume changes. There's no dancers, but they're singing on mic, and you can tell it's not a lip sync. Just it's no fancy editing. Just put a title at the beginning, at the end. But there's a sense of reality. I think people like that. Wow, this is real. This isn't punched in. This is not made up. This is. It's work with what you got.
And this is live. This Thai chick and this fucking annoying guy that's in the frame next to her. If we could just
exactly.
That guy just hand the camera over more to the left.
Yeah, more to the left. Yeah. Keep playing great, Skunk, but focus in on Suki.
I don't need to see the guitar here. Like, not interested in that. Dude, I can't wait to do it again. We'll who knows when it'll be, but I've been so many times I've seen Suki, and last year we played with Godin guitars at NAMM, and she
nice.
And, it was super fun.
Sweet.
And it just to do that again, because it's been years, man.
It has been a bit, huh? Yeah.
Well, I know what'll happen. I'll bring up the idea. We'll be like, hell yeah.
Okay.
We won't learn a fucking song.
Yeah.
We'll get there and learn the song 5 minutes before we play it in your studio. Then
there you go. Little seat of the pants anxiety. Yeah, that's good.
You've got good coffee, so that'll fucking
that'll amp you up. That's it.
Afterwards, yeah. Dude, thanks again, Jeff. This has been a blast, man. Really,
my pleasure. It's been a lot of fun talking with you, man. A lot of fun.
Rock and roll. Jeff Lewis, everybody. Once again, this has been Eclectic Soundtrax, Skunk Manhattan, and Victor Ramos. Until next time, later.
something brand new. I'm in love with your body. Oh, why, oh, why, oh, why, oh, why. I'm in love with your body. Oh, why, oh, why, oh, why, oh, why. I'm in love with your body. Oh, why, oh, why, oh, why. I'm in love with your body. Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with the shape of you. Girl, you know I want your love. Your love was handmade for somebody like me. Come on now, come on, mommy. I might be crazy, don't mind me. Say, boy, let's not talk too much. Grab on my waist and put that body on me. Come on now, follow my lead. Come on now, follow my lead. I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do. Although my heart is falling too. I'm in love with your body. And last night you were in my room. And in my bed sheets smell like you. Discovering something brand new. I'm in love with your body. Oh, why, oh, why, oh, why, oh, why. I'm in love with your body. Oh, why, oh, why, oh, why. I'm in love with your body. Oh, why, oh, why. I'm in love with your body. Every day discovering something brand new. I'm in love with the shape of you. Come on, be my baby. 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 Come on. Come on, be my baby. 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 I'm in love with the shape of you.